So I want to address the incident that happened 2 Saturdays ago at my son's football game. If you're watching this, you probably are already aware of the incident, the fight that happened at the Otay Ranch youth football game between Otay Ranch and the Inland Empire Ducks. There was a fight in the stands, and like I said, I just want to address a few things concerning that incident. So I've been reading a lot of negative comments, and yeah, I just want to give my point of view of what happened that day. You've probably seen also that there's been a lot of protests, and that we're protesting the suspension because ultimately what happened was both teams got suspended. Yeah, so basically what happened was we are the number 4 team in the state for the midget. Popo. Number 4 in the state, going against the number 1 in the state, i.e. Ducks. Both undefeated, both 4-0. We played them last year as well, and I mean, they have a good team. They're number 1 for a reason. So basically, to start things off, the game was at Otay Ranch High School, and it's like a 5:30 game, I believe, start time. Was definitely looking forward to the game. So we get to the game, the kids are warming up, and I would like to say, so I was gone for the entire summer. Actually missed the first 3 games of the season because I was deployed to Iraq. So I was really looking forward to this. This was the second game I got to watch for my son, who's played on this team this is his 2nd year playing on this team. So we get to the game, they're warming up, and I walk back and forth up and down the stands as I follow the game because I record the plays for my son so I can make him highlight videos at the end of the year and whatnot. And as soon as they begin warming up, on the north end of the bleachers is the IE Ducks fans. Whatever, like I said, I do this for my son. I do this because he loves to play and I love to watch him play. So, and we are predominantly on the south end of the bleachers, Otay Ranch fans, that is. So before the even kickoff started, and keep in mind the game before this was a junior midget game, which came down to the wire. IE Ducks actually won, but tensions kind of started brewing at that point. And I caught a little piece of that game. It was a good game. So our game is getting ready to start. I am a level down from IE parent who was loud, boisterous about the game, and I guess his son must have played or somebody he knew. And I'm all for cheering for your kid. If you want to cheer for your kid, go ahead, do that. That's awesome. That's what you're there for. Show support. But he was doing it in a not so professional way, or I guess no sportsmanship. I mean, he was basically saying, Otay, and whatever I say here is paraphrasing. It's been over a week, and I didn't remember everything that people said. So basically, he was saying, these kids are soft, and keep in mind, these are 13-year-old kids. These kids are soft. Punch them in their mouth. They don't want none of this. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And he was saying that, and I kind of felt like, for a minute, he was trying to antagonize me because I was directly in front of him recording. But I'm of the personality where I'm not going to say anything to you, you know what I mean? Just don't touch me, and we have no problems. Cheer on your kid, that's whatever. I laugh it off to myself, like, you're taking this a little bit too serious, and what have you. So he continues with this throughout the first quarter. First quarter, IE is winning. I think end of the first quarter was, 16-0. And then into the second quarter. So halfway through the second quarter, as I'm walking up and down, I can hear him still yelling stuff. And like I said, he wasn't trying to hide it. He was trying to let it be known that he was there representing the Ducks and that we were weak and we were soft and we didn't deserve to be playing those kids or whatnot. So at one point during the second quarter, almost midway through the second quarter, I hear somebody else yell back to him, and I kind of look back and glance to see what was going on. And it was one of our parents, but at the time, I like I said, I didn't even think about it. I just glanced to see who was arguing. So he was arguing with the gentleman who I felt was antagonizing me. And like I said, I'm paraphrasing. He asked him what he said. the gentleman that was antagonizing the situation repeated it. So the Otay Ranch parent yells back at him something to the extent of, nigga, you don't want this, you're in the wrong hood to be talking shit, something to that extent. I didn't think anything of it. I'm still recording. The game is still playing. I'm still recording it. By this time, the score's like 24-0, i.e. Ducks, they're winning. Like I said, to me, score doesn't mean anything to me. They're 13 years old. They're not going to the NFL at any time soon. I'm there so my son can play. I like to watch my son play. And that's all I care about. A good game. If we win, lose, or draw, who cares? So that gentleman that he's talking to, the Otay parent, moves from the up by the concession stand. He moves his family, and they move closer to the individual that was talking from the Ducks. At some point, maybe a couple minutes later, still in the second quarter, there is an argument. Now I'm at the south end because that's where the play is at, but there's an argument between some parents. And like I said, for the most part, mind my business. I don't care. Well, I follow the play, and we head to the north end of the field, of the bleachers, and these people are arguing. And there was, I don't know, some guy was arguing with some other guy about talking to his sister a certain way, and that he will fuck him up if he talks to his sister like that, yada yada. Like I said, minding my business. I'm still recording. So they stop the game. The announcer comes on. He's like, we need to calm down. He says the commissioner, Kathy Luna, who is the commissioner, who I had never met before in my life and had never seen up until this point. Kathy Luna is requesting that all IE parents move to the north end of the field. All Otay Ranch parents move to the south end of the field. I'm on the north end at this point because that's where the game is at. I'm not bothering nobody. Nobody's bothering me. I don't give a damn. I was in the mindset, I'm not moving because I'm not bothering anybody. I'm walking back and forth, recording the game, not saying anything to anybody. Well, one of the Otay Ranch parents, the one that had moved over there, refused to move, and you could hear him, I'm not moving nowhere, blah blah blah. So the field director, now if you've seen the videos, all 4 videos, the field director comes, and I believe it's hostile parent number 2 comes over there. That's the field director. He's in charge of the field. Ask that gentleman to move. He, verbally, first he's addressing everybody. Everybody, if you're an IE Duck parent, please move to the north end of the bleachers. If you're an Otay parent, please move to the south end of the bleachers. And like I said, you can hear him verbally saying, fuck you, I ain't moving nowhere, blah, blah, blah. So then he addresses the individual personally and says, hey, listen, we're asking everybody to move. I know, you're not starting anything, but I'm going to need you to move to the south end of the field. And that's when he berates the field director. Fuck you, I'm not moving. You ain't going to do whatever, blah, blah, blah. So after his failed attempt to get that gentleman to move, everybody else is moving, mind you. I hadn't moved at this point. I was still in the north end, and I was in the mindset, hey, when he asks me directly, then I'll move. I won't be happy about it, but I'll move. As soon as that happens, Kathy Luna comes. Now she isn't next to him like the field director was. She was down on the bottom level of the bleachers, which is probably 6 or 7 bleachers up. I mean, it's not that far. She asks him to move. Personally, sir, I need you to move to the south end of the field. This is what he says, and I'm paraphrasing. Fuck you, bitch. I ain't moving nowhere. I ain't got to move nowhere. I paid for my son to play on this team. I'm sit wherever the fuck I want to sit. Says that to the commissioner. So the game was stopped. The game was stopped for roughly 2 to 3 minutes. So instead of calling the authorities and having this gentleman escorted out of the field, which should have been done, because if you read the code of conduct, that kind of language and that kind of attitude is not wanted in that. I mean, it shouldn't be. Nobody should have to deal with that. So she walks back over to the officials, tells the officials to start the game. The guy doing the announcing comes on and says, we are going to restart the game, or continue with the game. Please control yourself. Don't act belligerent as he was acting. I mean, like I said, I'm all paraphrasing. So as soon as that happens, the game restarts. There's like 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the second quarter. The field director comes to me where, like I said, I'm still standing on the north end, comes to me and it says, hey, I'm sorry I have to be the bad guy, but I need you to go to the south end. I look at him, I turn and head south. I walk to the south end. Like I said, I wasn't happy about it, but he asked me to move, and I moved. No ifs, ands, or buts, whatever. Go back and I'm telling my wife what happened, because she's down there sitting down, and I explained to her what happened, and we continue to watch the game. Halftime happens, my son comes up, I talk to my son for a minute, I tell him, you know, keep your head in the game, tell your team to keep their heads up, let's keep playing football. It's not over until the final whistle blows. So, you know, they do their halftime thing, and they get back on the field. Mind you, score was 24-0. They had threatened to stop the game at halftime if people didn't listen, if people weren't cooperating. He did not cooperate. They specifically asked him to move, and he refused. And he cursed out the field director and the commissioner in front of everybody. So, continue on. The game is getting ugly at this point. By the end of the third quarter, I don't know, the score was 36-0. I don't even know how many first downs we had. It wasn't a lot, but we weren't moving the ball successfully. So, fourth quarter comes. I don't hear that other gentleman anymore, but I hear our guy. And I've seen this guy at practice. I've never said one word to this guy before. I know he had a kid on the team, but I didn't know up until after the fight which kid was his. Like I said, I seen him at practice, never spoke to him before, never said anything to him. But keep in mind that I did miss the first 3 games because I was deployed. So, fast forward to the fourth quarter. There is less than a minute left. Remember, it's a running clock after I think 25-0 and 28-0. It's a continuously running clock. So the clock is running. There is less than a minute left. I want to say there's 20-some seconds left. And the score is, I think, 48-0 or something. I was watching on the field. Like I said, I watched the plays. The kids from the Ducks were helping our guys up, or helping our team up off of the turf, and clapping hands, like, you know, as to say, good game, you know, showing respect. And I remember thinking, like, these guys are acting more professional and more adult-like than the idiots in the stands. So, something happens. I'm at the south end of the field. Something happens to where people are yelling down at the north end. There's like 24 seconds left. People are yelling and screaming. So I look down there, and I head down there, and I can see a lot of commotion. I look on the field, and I can see the kids turning around looking at the commotion. And the kids one of the kids who happened to be that guy's son was going crazy. So I could see the commotion, but I had no idea who was doing what or what was happening. So I head down there, and you can see me in the video walk down there. I walk down there, and I see what's going on, and I'm just shaking my head in disbelief. Like, I cannot believe this game. Like, at this point, it wasn't even about the game. It was about how disrespectful one guy was being to the other, and then it became, I guess, their macho-ness came out, and you ain't gonna talk to me like that kind of. But the guy that was fighting for the Ducks was not the guy who was antagonizing the situation at first. So I seen him in the video. I seen him trying to break some stuff up, so he wasn't involved. So the blame for sure goes on the guy who refused to leave. I mean, because he should have left. He should have went to the south end of the field, and that wouldn't happen. Of course, there are other stipulations that should have taken place before that. They should have had home away seating. I don't know why they have home teams and opposing teams, parents sit on the same side. I think that's asking for trouble, especially at the junior midget/midget level. Tensions are too high, emotions run too deep. That's just a recipe for disaster. I had said the year prior to my wife a few times that I'm surprised there hasn't been a fight. Like, that's just not smart, in my opinion. And then security. There should. I've heard rumors. I don't like to deal with rumors too much, but I've heard rumors that they were already, I guess, afraid of something happening when these two teams met, but they still didn't. There was nothing in place to prevent that. So I guess they could have done it. The commission could have done a better job of trying to prevent such an incident from happening, but that's all hindsight. So anyway, so they're all fighting. There's a bunch of people down there. Now there is one family, like I said, the guy who started it was with his family. I believe it was maybe his dad and his uncle, who are older gentlemen who are involved with this as well. They are not representative of our team at all. He was the only person from our team in there that was fighting. If you look at the video, you can see a bunch of guys getting hit. The guys that were doing the hitting were from the Duck side. I've never seen those guys before in my life. They were hitting the guys who were starting the fight. So both sets of parents, or whoever was involved, was wrong. But the fact of the matter is, the kids, as soon as that happened, the officials moved the kids to the end zone. The kids had absolutely nothing to do with the fight. Probably 99% of them didn't even know what was going on, didn't even know what was happening until it was already started. So the kids had nothing to do with it, and that goes for the IE kids as well. I mean, they were complete professionals on the field. I take my hat off to them because they were professional the entire time. Coaching staff as well for the IE Ducks. So this guy who starts the fight finally ends. There's still no Chula Vista Police Department hadn't shown up yet, and I know they were called like while the fight was going on. It took them, I'm gonna say, a good 20 to 25 minutes to actually show up. So they finally get the fight broken up, and then we were told we have to wait for the police department to come before we can leave because they were afraid stuff was gonna happen. So that is what happened. The commission had a chance to stop the game, which like I said, the score was 24-0 at this point. We barely could move the ball. In my opinion, the game should have been stopped. And then if anything happened after that, they could have handled it. But as far as I'm concerned, the moment the commissioner, Kathy Luna, stepped in and asked that individual to move, she then accepted responsibility for anything that happened after that because you failed to do your job as a commissioner. That's my opinion. So as far as addressing the comments that I've seen on social media or news stations, I've seen people saying, you know, good, now the children can learn a lesson. I completely disagree with that because the children, first of all, they already did everything right. They did absolutely nothing wrong. So there is no lesson. The lesson needs to be learned by the parents who started this, not by the children who did everything right. So both teams are kicked out of the league, which we're undefeated. There was no official explanation as to why so why not just ban the parents that were involved in the fight? Why not ban them for any future games? I don't know. But I don't think taking it down on the kids for something they didn't do is the right answer. I was a coach in Florida for 6 years before I moved here in California. I've seen, you know, fights on the field. I actually, my last year coaching, or second to last year coaching in Florida, I had a kid that got in a fight on the field and was suspended for the championship game, and that was his punishment. They didn't punish all the kids on the team. They punished that one individual. Both individuals that fought. So the kid from my team and the kid from the other team were both suspended from the championship game. I mean, I think that's a more appropriate way to handle it than to suspend both teams, especially when, like I said, the kids don't deserve that. This is their last year of youth football. After this, they go to high school. A lot of those kids aren't going to make high school football, so this is what you leave them with. You leave them with this bad, sour taste in their mouth of something that they had no way of controlling and no way of stopping. It was beyond them. They couldn't stop it and they couldn't control it. Why are you punishing them for it? And I'd love to hear any explanation to say, hey, that's what they get for the parent. The kids cannot be responsible for the parents. It can't happen that way. I take full responsibility for anything I do and anything my son does. If my son messes up, by all means, I will accept responsibility for that. But no way will I ever ask him to accept responsibility for what I do. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm 35 years old. I do not want my son to take responsibility for me. And I would hate for him to be punished for something I did. So that's what happened. I would absolutely love to discuss this in further detail if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns. But the fact is, not all of us on that team are thugs, which I read a lot, or hood rats. I'm not a hood rat. I'm not thug. I'm active duty military for the last 12 years. My family, I mean, we're responsible people, caring people, and we don't operate that way. So we're not all that way. We have a good team. We have a good coaching staff. I think our team, especially the kids, handled things beautifully. They couldn't have done anything better than what they did. That one parent, the one family who did start it, I think should be punished, and the kids should, if anything, be rewarded for the way that they behaved. And that's how I feel. Like I said, I should have done this video a week ago while it was fresh on my mind, but we are still protesting. Yeah, and we should be playing. We should be playing for the championship in December in Florida. Unfortunately, they got taken away by one idiot that couldn't control himself. So there it is. If you have any, like I said, if you have anything you want to add or be respectful, please. I'm explaining the situation as it happened, as I seen it, and from my point of view. But if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys later.